Hello and welcome to the show. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty. I hope all of you are doing amazing out there, loving yourselves, taking care of yourselves in each and every moment, in each and every day, the best way that you know how to. I found myself in an experience this last week where it's actually been a recurring theme over this past week of just this idea of holding space. I found myself holding space for a group of individuals that were expressing a lot of deep energies, a lot of deep emotions, a lot of things that were coming up that have been held on to for so long. So many things that we hold on to in our lives. I mean, there are stresses and worries and anxieties and false beliefs and things that put you down and make you feel not good, and we hold on to them. Even the feeling of anger, it's something that's so pushed away from our society that even holding space for that, allowing that to enter the room is something that's so taboo. We say, whoa, you have to go to anger management. You have to get out of here with that. Like, I don't want any of that energy. And of course, we never have to accept any hostility towards ourselves. That's not something that we have to put ourselves in the position of. We don't have to put ourselves in the position of someone letting out their anger on us, physically, emotionally, whatever that may be. So that's when we have that choice to decide the direction that we want to go with that. But all emotions deserve space. And even that's why we have groups of anger management. In a lot of those groups, it's asking what is coming up? What is the cause of this anger? What is the root of this anger? Because all emotions, all things are telling us something. And it's a feeling of absence, it's a feeling of lack, it's a feeling of disconnection, it's a feeling of misunderstanding. These are all emotions that are expressed in different ways, and some people feel all those things and they feel depressed. Some people feel angry. Some people feel anxious. Some people have no idea what to do. Some people feel lost and confused. This is something that we all experience at some point in different degrees and in different modalities, in different ways. And when we allow ourselves to hold space for ourselves and others, it's really taking into consideration the dynamics and the flow that all of this does work in. What is this telling me? What is this person expressing in this anger telling me? Well, first it's telling me that they're really hurting. It's telling me that this person is in need of something, of love, of compassion, of a listening ear, of someone to understand them, to listen to them. Maybe they need to release those emotions. Maybe they need to yell at the top of their lungs in a forest or over a cave in a canyon or whatever it may be. I mean, there are all these things that are very therapeutic for people. I mean, I'm not sure if you've ever done it, but you find yourself in the woods or in some kind of valley or on a mountaintop and you find yourself just yelling, and for some reason it's invigorating. It's revitalizing. You get to just let go of all this energy that you've been holding on to and may not have even realized you've been holding on to. Now, that's usually a gift if we find ourselves exploring someplace and then releasing and having an easy feeling that overcomes us after we do that. But so many people hold on to these energies and they get intertwined within our very daily lives. The things that we believe, the things that we say, the things that we do. And in order to heal those things, we need to give space to those things. And we find ourselves very, very easily able to give space to others. We give space to others outside of us very easily, and that's something that I wanted to speak about, but also giving space to ourselves. And that's something that's so much more difficult for people to do, giving space to the things that are coming up and arising within them. I mean, we ourselves are dealing with so many other things. And just as we can be with our friend that's dealing with something and they're crying and we're there for them, there are times when we are feeling that same pain, maybe for a different circumstance, but we're feeling that same pain, and that space needs to be held for us. Now, whether we seek that help outside of us or we do it within, it's the same space that's needing to be held. And I mentioned in the beginning that there are these feelings that we have that come out in different forms, and that's the basis of how we hold space. The recognition that all of us desire happiness and love and peace and understanding and community and connection. We all desire that at the root, and when we feel as though we're lacking that, it comes out in all different forms. It comes out in all different ways, but that's the essence of it. It's the softness of it. You feel it. You feel it. If it's compassion, it's love, it's healing energy. It's the space of just allowing and accepting that all that you're expressing right now, it's almost like a mother with a toddler. It's like they're screaming, and although the mother may want that child to be at ease, they may want that child to have peace. They may know that the disruption, the energy that they're feeling, the dis-ease that they're feeling, they may know that it passes. The mother may know that this will pass, but they still sit with that child as they're crying and say, "Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I love you so much." And they rock the baby. They sing to the baby. It's going to be okay. But they hold that space. And that is a loving space that we have to hold ourselves in as well as others. And again, we do it so much easier with others. We can see a good friend or a family member that comes to us and they're crying or they're really dealing with something heavy. We can find ourselves able to listen empathically and know that maybe sometimes there are words that we can't really say, but we are just there. We're just present with them. And we have this loving energy about us that can be something so incredibly transformative in that experience. It's something that is so incredibly transformative in that experience. Because as you hold that space of love and acceptance, and it's okay, just like that mother would hold that child and say, "I know that this is hard for you. I know this is hard, and there's nothing I can do except sing to you and soothe you and hug you and kiss you and say that it's going to be okay." And maybe those words won't change the crying right now at this moment. Maybe it won't change the discomfort right now in this moment. But eventually the tears dry out. Eventually the emotions are released, and they're held in this space of love and acceptance, and you're being embraced with a hug right after you have this release. You're being embraced with love right after you release these things that have been binding to you. And they may not be gone for good, but in that moment of release, you find yourself in that space surrounded by someone that's giving you that compassion. So as we find ourselves in that place where we're giving that space to someone else, know that that loving energy is something that is the basis of how we hold that space. It's not judging that person for anything that they're bringing to the table. It's not saying, why are you crying over this? It's not saying, pick yourself up by your bootstraps and just keep on moving along. You sit with that person and you give them love. And that is something that's so healing, just in that space. There may be even people, maybe even you, have said, I don't need you to say anything. I just need to say this to someone. I just need to say this out loud. I just need to release this. And that's something that's so critical. It's giving that space. I mean, if you knew that person was going to judge you for everything that you said, then you probably wouldn't go to that person. We go to people and we go to situations and we find ourselves seeking that loving space. You find someone that's able to give that loving space and you go to that person often. And you say, I'm not really sure what it is, but I just really wanted to talk to you. I'm not really sure what's been going on in my life right now, but I feel as though I just need space to speak about it. And maybe nothing will change about the external situation, but the internal situation will change. And you holding that space of love is something so transformative for anyone that you're able to give that to, including yourself. And that's really this next part, because again, we find it so easy to give this loving space to everyone else around us, to others and family members, and that's something so amazing. But to bring that space towards ourselves, I found myself in another situation where I was speaking to someone and they spoke about how they didn't know how to give space to themselves. They have a full-time job and a family that they want to take care of, and there are so many other people that are in that same situation. There's just life happening. Life is happening all around you. It's happening all the time. Even when you're sleeping, life is happening. And when we find ourselves in a place where everything is consuming us so much, it can be very difficult to hold that space for ourselves, because we're like, how do I hold space when I don't even have time for myself? You are always with yourself. You are always with yourself. You're never separated from yourself. So to give yourself that time is to give yourself that loving space. And that's not something that can be quantified or even measured in physical circumstances. It's outside of time, it's outside of space, it's outside of anything that we can physically, tangibly hold on to. And just as you, the essence of who you are being not tangible, I mean, maybe you believe that you are this body, but if you had your arm cut off, you're still the same person. You're just the same person without an arm. And it doesn't, like, your actual self does not change. And as we combine those two and say, I am this form that's much more than this body. I can hold the space that's also beyond time and space. I can hold the energy of love for myself in whatever situation, in any time that I'm walking in my life. I can hold the space for myself and allow myself to heal in the way that I feel I need to heal. Now, it's very difficult to mentally hold that space for yourself if you feel as though your physical world around you is too chaotic. So, holding that space for yourself, it starts with first finding time for yourself. And again, it may be a very short time. Maybe you have to find yourself in the bathroom to meditate, to get away from it all. Maybe you find yourself taking an extra long drive. Maybe you have to go run some errands, but you're going to take the long way. And that's your routine. Maybe that becomes your routine. Taking the long way to work, taking the long way to wherever you're going to go, take a longer shower. Give yourself that time to reflect and give yourself that loving energy, because I promise you, you'll be addicted to it. You'll be addicted, and it's going to be the best addiction that you'll ever have. It's addiction to love. It's addiction to that compassionate space of love and nurturing. Give that to yourself. And we have to allow ourselves to have that time to feel it. What does it feel like to give myself that space, to give myself that time, that mental freeing? What does that feel like to give myself that? And again, when the world is very demanding, when all these external circumstances are very demanding, it can be very hard to find a sense of that within ourselves. So it starts small. It's like many of us want to take that big leap from having this busy, tumultuous life to being completely at ease in paradise and no worries at all. And although that is a choice, and it's very possible to make that choice, it's much more difficult to make that choice because of all the things that we bind to those situations and those circumstances, all the ideas and beliefs and emotions that we have tied to all these things around us. And again, these are things that we've learned and we've acclimated into our way of being that we just feel is right for us. But at the end of the day, it's like, how right is it if it doesn't feel good? So we find ourselves holding on to all of these things that don't really feel good, and they culminate to this experience of stress, anxiety, worry, fear, sadness, loss, separation, lack of love. It comes in all these different forms, and we start to feel it. And as it rises up within us, it's telling us we don't want this anymore. We want a release from this. That's why this lifetime of vacation is something that people dream of. I would love to just be on vacation all the time. I would love to not have to worry about getting up and going to this job that I don't like. I don't want to have to worry about this. I don't want to have to worry about that. I don't have to be fearful of this. I don't want to be fearful of that. It's all these things that we hold on to that are a combination of all these experiences and all these thoughts and all these ideas that have shown themselves in our lives, have appeared in our lives, based on the beliefs that we've been holding on to and things that we've been holding on to. And all beliefs are just ideas that we continue to think. So recognize that as we do this healing work, as we hold that loving space for all the anger and sadness and hurt that we're feeling, give yourself that loving compassion. Give yourself that compassionate space to allow that to be. And know that, I am experiencing this because of all the things that I've been holding on to. And this is an opportunity for me to give love to those things. This is an opportunity for me to not judge those things, just as I wouldn't judge my friend or family member as they were crying to me about a situation they were dealing with. Sure, this may seem a lot more personal because it's happening within me, but it doesn't mean that I have to remove myself from giving that love. It doesn't mean I have to be absent of the compassion, of that energy that I give when I'm around my friends and family that are expressing the same thing. I can give that same love to myself, even if it feels like it's too much, or even if it feels like it's a lot. I know within myself that I can hold that space because I've held it before. And it's all a matter of giving yourself that time to recognize what that feels like when it's happening within yourself. In those times when you're stressed, when you're worried, when you're sad, when you're not really feeling into it. And again, since these beliefs have been so long held, it takes small steps. We can't take that giant leap. Even though, again, it is a choice and anything is possible. And you can make that choice and something can click and say, I actually value my happiness above all else. And then you can start making every action in accordance to that. But a lot of times that's a lot more difficult. because we've been holding on to things like, oh, maybe I shouldn't relax because, people are going to think I'm lazy or something. How absurd is that? I can't relax and rest in my body because people are going to think something negative of me. I can't find peace within myself because other people are going to find it to be wrong in some kind of way. I can't act in this way or say this thing or be with this person or do this thing because someone else is going to feel something about it. Value your own happiness. And when we value that happiness above all else, we can give ourselves love, because it's saying, this emotion that's coming up, it's something I've been holding on to. It's a belief that's been instilled within me that I no longer care to give attention to. I no longer care to have it rule my life. I'm going to allow it to be because, oh man, it's given me a lot of insight into who I am. It's allowed me to be exactly where I am today. All of the pain, all the hurt, all the suffering, all the sadness, all the loss that you feel and that you felt throughout your life, it's all culminated to the experience that you're having right now and where you stand right now. So give it thanks, because it's allowed you to grow to the point where you want to do something about it. Give it love, because it's given you the strength that you have this day. It's given you the knowledge and the understanding that you have right now. But you don't have to hold on to it. And that's what giving yourself that space is for, is to give it away and let it go in a loving way. Just as you're with family members or close friends and you're crying, and by the end of it you find yourself laughing and thinking about something completely different, thinking about something that's more pleasurable, more joyful. You find yourself doing something or feeling in a way that's much more light than it was before. You've done healing. You've done the healing work. And although that situation may come back, that emotion may arise again, you know from that experience that giving that loving energy towards it is something so transformative, and that the tears will dry out, and that the laughter will come, and that the joy has no other place to go except for in your experience as you release all the things that's been blocking it. So give yourself 5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, or even 60 seconds if you can, to find a space to just be at peace, to just find a space to clear your mind. As I spoke about in the last episode, breathe, go into nature, do something that can allow your mind a rest just for a moment, because then you can make the choice to approach these things with love. Because otherwise we're just reacting to these things. Oh, my boss yelled at me again, I'm going to get upset. Oh, my partner did this thing again, I'm going to get upset. I'm going to get sad. We react to these things so often. And it's nothing wrong with that, except is that reaction something that you feel is beneficial for you? There's no wrong choices that we make, but there's always opportunities for us to notice when we're not in the place that we want to be. Again, we recognize that so quickly when we see a friend that's in distress, when we feel a friend that's sad, that's coming to us. We feel that, and we know that I want to give this person loving energy. I want this person to know that they're okay speaking to me, and that I will love them no matter what. That is the unconditional love that we deserve for ourselves. And it's love that we have the ability to feel because you've given it before. So give it wholeheartedly to yourself, and you'll find yourself more capable of holding that space for others. Things that people are dealing with, traumas that people are healing. I mean, they're heavy things that people are dealing with in this world. I mean, seriously, really, really heavy things. And as we grow to hold that space within ourselves, that loving space, we are able to do it to others and give it to others and hold that space for others. And it's not like that's the goal of it all. The goal of it all is to find that peace within yourself and realize that you are amazing, and you are abundant, and you are loved, and you are deserving of all good things. And most importantly, that you are loved unconditionally. And everyone wants to feel that unconditional love. So holding space, that unconditional love, is something that's a key element within it all. And if you have to, with yourself, imagine these emotions, these thoughts, these things that are coming up within you. Imagine them being said to you by a small child. A small child coming up to you, I feel so sad, I feel like I don't want to deal with any of it all. It's all so stressful. It hurts so much. I don't know what to do. I'm confused. I'm sad. I'm lost. I don't want to deal with it anymore. It hurts. I'm in pain. Imagine a small child coming up to you and saying that. Your heart will open immediately, and even if you are on your deathbed, even if you are in so much excruciating pain within yourself, you will open your heart. And you will find somehow, wow, I had no idea I was even capable of holding that loving space. Yet, this innocent child that's coming to me feeling these same things that I'm feeling, I can open up that love for them. Imagine these deep things that you're holding on to. Imagine them as a small child coming up to you and telling you that they feel this way. And feel the love that comes over you. Feel the compassion that dwells within you and starts to erupt outside of you as you think about this child. You want to give them love. You want to wrap your arms around them and tell them it's going to be okay. You want to rock them and sing them a song and give them that ease. Give that to yourself. And oftentimes it is our inner child that's calling out for that healing, because that's where the hurt began. That's where that belief began. And it's developed and it's grounded its roots within our mind. And as we do this work, we're clearing the garden. We are the gardener, as I said. We're planting the seeds, and some seeds were planted before we even realized we were planting them. But right now you're doing a uprooting. Right now you're bringing about and bringing up and unearthing those things that have been so deeply rooted, and you're wanting to plant new seeds. But recognize the utility of those roots. They've softened the soil so that you can plant new things. They've allowed you to be in the place that you are now, where you're able to understand that you want to plant new things. Tend to your garden with love, and all these things that are being uprooted, they will be seen for what they are. False beliefs that no longer serve you, but they served you for a time. And they're valued for what they served, but it doesn't mean that they have to stay in your garden. So as I've said before, give yourself compassion, give yourself love during this process as you're uprooting these things and as you're holding that space for yourself and others around you. Know that this is a process and something that we have to teach ourselves to do, that we have to learn how to do. And as we learn how to do it more and more, it's just like riding a bike. It becomes more natural. And then it doesn't matter if a few months pass or a few weeks pass, if you find yourself back into that awareness of, oh wow, I've been so clouded by all these things around my environment and I haven't held space for myself. I know that I can. And again, you just hop right back on that bike. And the muscle memory will come back. But it starts with taking that 60 seconds, that 1 minute, that 5 minutes to hold that loving space for yourself. Know what it feels like. Allow that healing to come in whatever small amounts it can come in. And you'll find yourself more and more addicted to wanting to have that space for yourself. Maybe you'll realize, oh, I actually do have an hour on Saturdays that seems like it's pretty chill time. Maybe it's nap time for the kids and maybe I don't have to worry about work or anything like that. I'm going to use that hour for that. Maybe you find yourself realizing that, my night and morning routine of brushing my teeth and washing my face, it's a lot of time that, I'm not really thinking about too much, maybe about the worries of the day and things like that, but maybe I want to spend that time in that loving energy, giving myself that loving space of awareness and uprooting these things that have been long held within me that no longer serve me. And as we do that, we'll find ourselves more and more just walking about our day, doing our jobs, taking care of our kids, and doing all the things that we would normally do while holding that loving energy, while holding that space within ourselves. And you'll realize that the healing is being done always, as it always is, but it's now being done more intentionally. So that's really all I had for this episode. Just really speaking on that idea of holding space and, again, really figuring out how to hold it for yourself and how that is a process, as most things are. We are in the process of unlearning and relearning. And this is a process that's always, always ongoing. So give yourself compassion, give yourself love, and allow yourself to hold that space of love for yourself. So yeah, that's all I really have for this episode. If you have any ideas or thoughts or anything like to share, you can send those to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com. You can join any of the social media groups: Instagram, everything.sunpodcast, Twitter, @everysunpodcast, and the Facebook group, @everysunpodcast as well. And yeah, that's all I got. I love you all so abundantly, and I will talk to you soon.